Hi guys, got another build check for you. Right now, this one here seems to be like it's a pretty well stacked setup. It's got the gloves, the belt, and it's probably got a little bit of everything, but let's go. First of all, he's running Meditate instead of Avatar, which is a great option. He's got more cast speed on here, which if it works to charge faster, then that's fantastic. I haven't played around too much with the jewels in here, but it's pretty good. Increase or less cooldown recovery, but used twice as many times. This is something I've been very interested in checking. I'm not too sure how that works, but if it does, it's wonderful. Wind Wave, I believe that's probably the best use for this support gem. Wasn't able to see if it works well on Tempest Flurry. It didn't seem to activate at all, but this here is a channel, so it makes a lot of sense to put it on here. And Energy Barrier, yeah, it's probably the best thing that you can put on. Like, legitimately, if you get stunned while using Meditate, you just keep regenerating Energy Shield. So, yeah, best option there. He's using Storm Wave, so it looks like he's got Storm Wave and Tempest Flurry both. So he's got like a bossing and a mapping setup. If this is what you like, then great. I personally wouldn't use both at the same time, just because I'm hold on, let's see how many skills you got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it looks like you probably have Stormwave for bossing and, or sorry, Stormwave for mapping and Tempest Flurry for bossing. That or else you drop like Herald of Thunder for cast on shock or Herald of Ice for cast on shock. But either way, this is a decent setup. It looks like you got two options and they're both good because Upheaval and Stormwave is ridiculously good. You got Martial Tempo. Let's see here. No, it looks like you definitely use both based on the gems, but Martial Tempo, Primal Armament, Heft, and Innervate. I don't like Heft on Stormwave because you have almost no physical damage with the Pillar of the Cage God. And yeah, you don't even have flat physical on Ring, so Heft is not doing it for you. That one's unfortunately a dead stat. I just realized you have the unset ring, so you have the proper amount of skills. You don't have an extra one for swapping. This is probably just nice for convenience that you have the big AoE clearing skill that hits really far away. I use Tempest Fury for the same thing, but if you like Stormwave, no issue. And then you get Innervate on there too. You got Herald of Ice, Magnified Effect, Overcharge. Overcharge is really good, but Lightning Infusion, Ambush. Okay, so seeing how this is set up, you should have more than enough lightning damage for Herald of Ice that you wouldn't need it. But I think it'd be better on putting Lightning Infusion on Stormwave and putting Innervate on Herald of Ice. That would do a lot more damage for you. It would give you a consistent AoE clear with that, but with Tempest Flurry, right here you got Practice Combo. I'm not a fan of this really at all because you generate the 4 combo you need for Tempest Bell nearly instantly with Tempest Flurry. But if you're worried about having enough combo in the very certain situations where mobs come in sporadic bursts, this could be good. Just doesn't seem to be the best, but I could definitely see a use case for it. And since you have both Stormwave and Tempest Flurry, there's limited skill gems, so this isn't a problem. It's just not the best. Rage support is great. Electrocute. If you have Electrocute on here, you should, well, on your charge staff, do you have it? Okay, you got Neural Overload on charge staff, so never mind. Uh, this fits. And you got Soul Thief here on your Tempest Flurry. Unfortunately, again, same thing. You have very little physical damage, so I doubt this is doing much for you. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I highly doubt Soul Thief is really doing anything for you. For Wind Dancer, you got Unbreakable. I'm pretty sure that works. Pin is really good, and it helps charge Combat Frenzy, but uh, instant knockback. And then here you got Blind. There is another one here. I can't remember exactly what it's called. But there's one that gives increased effective pin the closer you are. That one would be incredible to put on with Wind Dancer if you're already using pin. And I would suggest whenever you get another slot putting that in, because like Blind and Unbreakable are pretty great. I can't confirm 100% if Unbreakable is working, but I think it is based on how it's worded. I know it says skills that you can use, so maybe not, because, Tempest Flurry you use. But this does not have the trigger tag, it has the attack tag, and so I'm pretty sure it counts for Wind Dancer. Now for Blink, yeah, Ingenuity is the only one that really matters. Tempest Bell, you got Rage Forged. If you got enough Rage going, then that's fantastic. Concentrated Effect, fantastic. Close Attack, Leverage, and Overabundance. They're all good skills. Uh, I'm assuming you're getting enough power charges because you're running Combat Frenzy. Leverage is 50% increased critical hit chance, so with this build you get about 5.5% crit chance from this. If you were to get Potential, you'd be getting over 10. So, but Potential also uses a power charge, but you're probably not worried about how many power charges you get. So I believe swapping Leverage for Potential would be helpful. And then Overabundance, it's a really good skill. If you're worried about damage, you could add some other things. You don't have flat fire, so definitely not Immolate, but potentially close combat, concentrated effect, rage forge. These are the big ones. Uh, do you have? Yeah, you got primal armament. Uh, well, keep looking for the rising tempest if you had it, but you got cast on shock and you're not using avatar, so that's not good for this. Uh, I'm not too sure what to put in there right now, but I'm sure there's something better than overabundance. Combat frenzy, you got clarity. You should definitely put the charge profusion in there so that you get an extra charge from it. You don't have the dodge roll, so yeah, definitely get the chance for extra charges. That would help this quite a bit. It's You're probably getting max charges pretty easy, but it's super helpful. Now Herald Device, you got Cold Mastery, Magnified Effect, Overcharge, Lightning Infusion, and Ambush. So this isn't really bad, but Lightning Infusion just doesn't do that much on Herald Device, unfortunately, because you're getting enough to shock with Hands of Wisdom in action. So this does not give you that much damage since you're losing the base damage from Herald Device, the cold. But and especially since you got two sources of cold damage, it's just completely axing those. But it's not terrible. It's just it would be way better on Charge Staff or on Tempest Flurry if you wanted it there. But I see that you're not really using Tempest Flurry for damage, and that's okay. It would be better than Soul Thief, that's for sure, because that's probably not doing anything for you, unfortunately. If you had a source of flat on rings, then maybe, but it doesn't look like it's doing much. And then, yeah, you get Overcharge, which is a wonderful ability. However, the magnitude of shocks, making things take more damage for the shocks that they're being inflicted with. This here is a great skill as well, but not on Herald of Ice, because you're already popping the entire screen. You don't need the shocks to be stronger. This is better against bosses, and it's really only useful against bosses because, like I said, rares, magics, and whites are all just getting popped instantly when you get a chain off, or even a small pack. So this would be better on Tempest Flurry as well. So that would help you replace Soul Thief and Practice Combo. Unless you really wanted to keep Practice Combo, then you'd probably move Electrocute back onto Charge Staff to make room for that. Now for the Herald device itself, I've obviously got pretty helpful things on there. The one that gives you increased chance to shock, again, not very needed as well. I just have that as a what if situation, but I wouldn't say slot that in there for sure. But you got Long Shot of Herald on Thunder. That's the main one I was thinking about. Uh, Cold Infusion and Ice Bite. You got Glaciation. You got all the important ones for Herald of Thunder, and you got Ambush on Herald of Ice. So all this makes sense. I personally like Ambush more on Herald of Thunder, but it's not a deal breaker by any chance. A Long Shot is doing the exact same thing, so yeah, the only thing I don't like on your Herald of Ice is this Overcharge and Lightning Infusion, unfortunately, but there are better skills. I've gone over them quite a bit, but For the most part, the only one that might be hurting you potentially is lightning infusion. Now for charge staff, conduction is pretty great. That's the one that I would have on Herald Device normally, but it's again not needed at all. If you ever are able to just kind of check when you hit a rare, like hit it once and run away, you'll see that it's instantly applied with shock. Same thing with bosses. So the big thing is that the bigger shock is what's applied first and what keeps refreshing first. So if you're worried about charge uptime, you should be putting your conduction on the same thing that you have overcharged. That would help you quite a bit. And again, it's not useful for bosses, so don't put on Herald Device. Now for Charge Staff Culling Strike, it fits really well. Coursing Currents probably fits really well as well. I haven't used it too much, but I mean, it makes perfect sense if it's on your shocking skill. So yeah, if this is what you're using for hitting the big shocks off, 50% chance that it also goes on a 2.5 meter radius, 100% more shock chance or shock buildup. Then you should definitely have overcharge on your charge staff, and you have neural overload on it, which does make sense because you had electrocute up top, but the fact that this is your shocking ability, stack shock on it, or swap the neural overload onto Tempest Flurry, or the shocking stuff onto Tempest Flurry, and then put neural overload onto Charge Staff with electrocute. You should just have them balanced a little bit better, that's all. You got all the right skills, they just need to be moved around a bit. Now cast on shock with Eye of Winter is great. Impetus, uh, it's good. Impetus, I find charges up a little too fast against bosses because you're already insta-popping the bell, and Eye of Winter doesn't do much damage. It just needs to proc the critical weakness, and once it procs critical weakness, you're good to go. So Impetus might be giving you some mana issues, and I know that you got Inspiration here to try and help with that, but I think dropping Impetus would be helpful. You got Scattershot, which is fantastic, and it also has the addition. Well, it's got the less attack and cast speed, which does not matter because you are cast on shocking. So yeah, it'll probably reduce it from 4 charges to 3, but it's more, or I guess, slow it down a little bit. But I'd say drop impetus, keep inspiration for sure. Add something like ricochet or chain or wild shards. Wild shards isn't the best; it apparently only applies on the last wave. But just anything else to add the projectiles, like this thing here too. I may be wrong, but I have heard that it only applies to the final burst to add the extra projectiles. But it's not a bad skill, not a bad skill at all. All right, now on to the equipment. You got a really nice staff. It's got corrupted crit damage, and then you got the extra crit damage on there. It doesn't have the increased weapon damage 12%, but with the corrupted crit damage, it's probably pretty close. It's not bad at all. Your gloves are a really good set of the Hands of Wisdom in action. It even has 2 slots, so it's probably helping you out. Holy crap, 80% ingenuity. Okay, so yeah, you're in a really good spot with your belt, your gloves, and your weapon. Now for your boots, 35 move speed, really good energy shield, it's got some rarity on there. If you're not resistance starved, these are really good. Probably not going to move these for a long time. I mean, yeah, you could get more resistance, you could get more int, but for the fact that you're getting the rarity, which I'm pretty sure you're valuing quite a bit, these are really, really, really good. Yeah, like, these are fantastic boots. This ring, fantastic cold, increased lightning, this is ridiculously nice. Then you got the big dex and int as well. The int could be higher, but oh well. You got mana to help with making mana issues kind of go bye-bye as well. It helps with the regen, helps everything. Helps with the percentage you get back, but the low fire res has me a little bit worried that you might be not res capped. Except for now here you got a full res ring. So this is definitely getting all your resistances for you. Uh, Getting 2 rings with all res would probably help, but I mean, you got big attributes on this one and big resistances on this one, so it's filling all the gaps you need. It's definitely not an issue with either of them. And this one here has ridiculously high damage, so I understand why you want to keep it. No, I think you did a good job balancing. They can improve, but they're solid. Your chest piece, big fire res, but then low int, and huge energy shield. So you probably have a ridiculous spirit pool. You might be losing out on a bit with not having a second res and the int. Like if you got another chest piece with a second res on it, it would probably help with re-gearing, but the fact that this is so nice with the huge energy shield and it has everything that you're really looking for, that I don't think this needs to be changed anytime soon either. Like you got really solid gear, man. Now here, huge energy shield, crit chance, all attributes, lightning resistance. Yeah, okay. You just got amazing gear, and you're even allocating spaghettification. Your rings are qualityed up, your amulets qualityed up. This is really solid as well. I don't see anything wrong with this at all. That is a fantastic amulet. And now to your helmet, huge energy shield. It's got all the energy shield rolls. You might be thinking that max life is terrible, but I'm pretty sure that's the one that goes with the energy shield, and you can't take it off. It's just fantastic. More crit chance, more resistances. Uh, this is probably close to a perfect item for you. Yeah, it's a level 65 base, and you could get a little bit better, but oh well. This thing, I don't think you'll really ever have to change this. This is as close to an endgame item as it gets. So yeah, your belt and helmet are probably your best things. Your rings have room to improve, but it's going to be hard to improve them because they're both really good, and they help fill the gaps that you have in the build. I kind of wish that you'd be able to get like 2 all-res to fill the purpose of what the big resistances are on here. It would be a little bit less, but not by much. On this, I see you got life modifiers 20%. Life modifiers is doing literally nothing for you, so that's one thing definitely to improve. You should swap this to cold mods. It would give you more cold res and cold damage. The cold damage isn't a lot, but I mean, getting a little bit more is always going to be better than getting nothing from it. You'd get 2 more maximum cold damage. This low end would go to 5, but the big thing is just getting more cold res. Yeah, it's unfortunate that you can't hit things with really good multiple hits. Like you can't just have like a resistance one. It has to be the specific cold, but that's one way to go about this. This one here, you got the attributes. That's definitely the best way to go because you got 2 big attributes on there. Again, it's a breach ring, so this one could definitely be improved for attributes and resistances, which are important, like really important, but that big max mana roll is probably a huge quality of life. That huge cold damage to attacks is going to help you a lot, and 26% increased lightning damage. Oof, that's going to be a lot of damage. All for a ring and 80% ingenuity. Yeah, this is going to take you far. Uh, so yeah, if I were to say look to replace anything, it would probably be try to find better rings, but be picky because it's going to be really hard to replace these and make it actually feel better. The chest piece is absolutely fantastic, but if you could find something with 2 good suffixes instead of essentially just the fire res and a really low int, that would be good. Same thing with the boots. Ankle. Ooh, these are really good as well, but again, you could get more resistances, more int, maybe even more rarity if you wanted it, but it's going to be hard to find and it's going to be expensive, so I don't think you need to worry too much about gearing. You did a really good job. Now for your tree. So first thing, unfortunately, Essence of the Mountain, kind of useless. That 5% damage is actually cold, isn't nearly as good as you'd expect it to be, but it is really nice on paper. It's just not it. I like coming down for Step of the Mist, give you the extra move speed, the attributes, the mana regen. This is all good and gives you the more defenses. I don't know what your endgame stats are looking like, but I bet it's pretty nice. I'm looking at this jewel, 1 rage on melee hit, super nice to have. It doesn't look like, unfortunately, the medium radius is going to be doing anything for you, so I can't edit it, unfortunately, but I know the small radius comes down to here, and there's no chance that it wouldn't be still hitting deep trance. So, it, the increased global physical damage isn't going to be doing much for you, but yeah, that rage on melee hit, that's fantastic. No wonder why, yeah, you're going to be getting 6 rage on hit with that rage gem in this, so Rage Forge is definitely the best thing for you. If you could try finding something, it doesn't need to be medium radius, just get it with the rage on hit, maybe with like elemental damage or more max rage or something like that, it'd do wonders for you. Do yeah, and you got spaghettification on here. I don't know why the the planner isn't showing that you have it, but yeah, you're getting this as well. So you're getting an extra 4 rage on hit from this jewel. That's incredible. 7 rage every single hit because of this jewel and 1 support. Yeah, you're really getting that more multiplier. That's fantastic. I really like Deep Trance with the reduced mana cost and the attack speed. This is a good wheel. It's a little bit rough getting 5 points for it, but it's still really, really, really good. But you have such amazing energy shield all over the place, and you are trying to be an attribute stacker. Like you got the big all attributes, you got the big dex and int here, hence why I'm saying need a little bit more attributes on the rest of your gear. That will do wonders for you. Like good int there. But the thing is, you're not taking insightfulness. That's a lot of energy shield coming down here, and 6% int. Oh, Pablo, your fur. I'd say definitely drop these 2 points, come down here. Depending on what your crit chance is looking like, it'd probably be better to drop either these 3 points or these 3 points, whatever you need, and come up here to get the 50% increased crit chance. I know you lose 20% crit damage, which is massive, but if you're still hitting that 50% breakpoint, not losing damage, and then you're able to get all these defenses, I think that would be massive. Also, oh, so much cat hair in my face. The only reason why you're having such mana issues and you're needing deep trance and you're needing conservative casting is because you're using cast on shock and it's uncontrollable. It's uncontrollable, it goes off all the time, it's just deleting your mana bar, and you have the really nice quality of life improvements with the mana on ring and all these cast reductions, and yet you're still running out of mana. You could easily drop this entire node and not worry about anything if you just take off Cast on Shock and put on Elemental Invocation instead. I know it's an extra button press, but at least you're able to control it and it's only going off when you need it, and then it costs significantly less. Mm. Now for the rest of your tree, you did good coming up here. You're going with the knocks back when you get a crit hit with the quarterstaff. Honestly, this might be nice. It might be really good for keeping things away from you. I haven't tested this too much. I do not have an issue with this at all. Uh, yeah. If this is working to keep you alive, then that's fantastic. If it's working to be kind of annoying, then get rid of it. But because Tempest Flurry has such good range, and because uh, Storm Wave that you're using has such amazing range as well, it's probably a nice layer of added survivability. I've tried using the knockback support gem and it does not work, but if it works here, then that's amazing. Now I see you came down here. Uh, if you don't need the crit chance and you came here for the crit damage, that is more damage. This is a good way to go. So yeah, and you came down this way as well because hitting these is less good than hitting the 20% crit damage versus, 15% for attacks versus just the 10%. You did right coming down that way. I've not seen anybody go this way around because usually people are crit chance starved, but based on your helmet and amulet, you're overcapped on crit chance, that's for sure. You came down here getting this good attack with the maiming strike attack and dexterity. Uh, because you don't have the Verana, your energy shield will be a little bit lower. I'd say based on how good your gear is, that's going to be the number one thing you should get for sure. For sure, for sure, for sure. The Verana jewels can be the number one thing you need to get because your gear is just that good. And yeah, your tree, other than not having this max or this increased intelligence and maximum energy shield, I think looks pretty good. So yeah, drop these two to come into here. Because you're hitting such good crit chance numbers, you could probably drop these three, because this increased damage and this increased damage is not that much. Like, I know it's 50%, it should be a lot, but the weapon scales so hard once you get enough strength. So I'd say these are the first ones that you could drop to come into here, and same thing with dropping this. You would have the extra points if you needed more crit chance eventually to hit breakpoints. You could come here for Careful Assassin, and even drop these three potentially if you're still trying to make things work. And then potentially, because of what you have, I would say you could even drop Maiming Strike. You could drop the Controlled Metamorphosis Diamond for what you have, and you could come here for the 5 dex, increase attack speed, and this dexterity node here. That might help you out a bit, because just because of what you have in your current setup, I think this would be more helpful for you. And I don't know what your level is, but if you're able to drop these three as well, then you could like come down here, get another jewel slot. Uh, yeah, I like what you got. You could even try moving Controlled Metamorphosis. You could come down this way, pick up the slots normally, put Controlled Metamorphosis here, and get Wildstorm, and then Serrated Edges to increase how much wonderful crit chance you're getting. But this pathing is kind of difficult without a split base, because then you're not going for the enhanced reflexes or bestial skin at all, which is a little bit more efficient, because that way you could drop this entire wheelhouse here. Excuse me, I'm hiccuping again. But no, I really like this jewel here with the rage on hit. I just wish it also had a better mod to go with, because you're just getting the rage for it. Now, for your other jewels, this one here, increase max energy shield, max mana, that's fantastic, but it needs to be corrupted. It needs a attribute corruption for sure. This is probably the #1 thing. Same thing with this guy. It's a nice one with the crit damage bonus. The attack speed is okay, for sure. Damage with quarterstaffs is okay. Increased lightning damage is okay. But think about it, like if you were to get 12% and 16%, or 6% is only 18% damage, 10 strength is doing a lot more than that for damage wise for a single corrupt. That 4% attack speed is fantastic. That's kind of the same as getting like 15 dex, roughly. So it's really, really good. Or 10 dex, something like that. And then it also helps you hit the other attack speed stacking multipliers. So definitely something like this is really nice, but try to get it with attributes on it as well. Same thing with this guy. This is honestly pretty damn close to the perfect jewel. If this thing just had a corrupted implicit, that would be fantastic, but this one here is going to be scary, because the energy shield to stun threshold, the big crit chance, and the perfect roll on maximum energy shield. Yeah, this is a gorgeous, gorgeous jewel. There we go. Headset just hates me, I guess. This is... That's amazing. That's like best jewel I think I've ever seen. And now this one here, crit chance, max energy shield. The cold and freeze threshold really aren't doing anything for you. So yeah, the big maximum energy shield is fantastic. The crit chance is fantastic. I don't know how much crit chance you have, but it's a lot. So yeah, you could probably afford to be able to drop some crit nodes for sure, to come here, grab these guys, and grab some more defenses for sure. That's my #1 suggestion. And then yeah, again, none of these are corrupted with attributes. It's extremely important. You got 2 mana on kill jewels. It's a little bit overkill, but this is still a really nice jewel. It's just you need to find stuff with attributes on it, unfortunately. You need to stack it. Without stacking it, you're missing out on a ton. So, maximum energy shield, crit chance, yeah. These are all great, but just, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're not going to worry about this one. 5. We're not going to worry about this one either because it's great. 6. That's, let's just say you got really lowish kind of rolls. You got 7 for it all. That's 42 more attributes that you could be having for your entire table, which is nuts. Think about that as if on your amulet, or on your ring here, you got an entire 12 to all attributes and then qualitied it up to the 20%. I guess it'd be on this ring. 20% to 14. And so that would be 42 attributes right there. It's that good. Having it on your jewels, it adds a ton. It is unfortunately almost irreplaceable on this kind of build. So I think that's the number one thing you should be looking for gearing wise. Get the Verana jewel and try to swap over to attribute stacking jewels for the corrupts. As hard it is to say, I'd say you need to corrupt all your jewels and really pray on this one that it doesn't brick it. This is the last one I would say try to corrupt. The rest, it's okay if you corrupt them right away. They could be replaced, no issue. The big max energy shield will be hard, but eventually you're going to need to find stuff with attributes on it. It's the most important stat. It's right up there with crit chance and max energy shield. And in this case also as additional stun threshold. But yeah, your gear, fantastic. After seeing what everything else is in here, don't touch your gear for a while. Focus on what jewels and getting that Verana jewel will do to fix your build, and swap a lot of these gems around. Unfortunately, yeah, you're doing a lot of things right. You just got a little bit of oddities. If you really want Stormwave, I understand. I think you'd be better off because of support gem pressure dropping Stormwave, but that is not a definite need. Just thinking, if you have this crazy huge chest piece, you probably have extra spirit to work with. Even with cast on shock and blink, you probably could get something like, I don't know, charge infusion, or well, a lot of other things that would just work. Uh, like you have Wind Dancer, I just realized, with no evasion. I understand you're using it for the knockback to keep people off you, but it's it could be really good in situations like simulacrums where things just charge you and you don't want to get swarmed because they're invulnerable for way too long. So that could be a good place for it, but this is doing little for you compared to a lot of other support gems, spirit support gems that you could be getting. Yeah, I guess I should have looked at the gear before I said that this was looking good, but it's not a deal breaker. There's just some better things you could do. Uh, Seeing how hard you went into getting mana cost reduction, I'd say change Cast on Shock for Elemental Invocation, and of the things that you needed to swap out for the bell, like here, then you could get Rising Tempest, but if you don't want the extra button press, I understand completely. But yeah, I think that should help you. I really think that should help you. I don't even have to go through like looking for gear here. The only thing you needed to look for was jewels, and unfortunately right now the trade site is down, so I couldn't show you. But yeah, your character's looking solid, really, really solid. You got some amazing stuff. But the jewels definitely need to be changed. All right. Well, oh, and also change the passive tree the little bits. I think that'll help a lot. And that's everything. And so I hope this helps you out. Let me know if you have any other questions. You know where to find me. Have a good day, guys.